Today's episode is brought to you by .tech domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, I was building my startup and went hunting for that perfect .com and found next to nothing. So I did what every founder does, settled. Here's what I wish someone had told me. You're building a tech startup, just get a .tech domain. It instantly tells investors and customers what you're about. Don't overthink it. Secure your .tech domain today from any registrar of your choice. This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. Unblocked is the context layer your agents are missing. It synthesizes your PRs, docs, Slack, and tickets into organizational context that agents actually understand. So they make better plans, write higher quality code, use fewer tokens, and require fewer correction loops. If you're running Claude Code, Cursor, or any agentic workflow, Unblocked is worth a look. Learn more at getunblocked.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If your team is collecting large volumes of logs, metrics, and traces, but still struggling to get timely answers, Mesmo can help. Mesmo is an active telemetry platform that processes and enriches observability data in real time before it's stored or analyzed. That means lower data volume, lower cost, and faster root cause analysis across your existing observability tools. To see how it works, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. If you are building with AI coding tools, but your features keep breaking, you need to check out BrainGrid. It is the product management agent for AI builders. BrainGrid turns messy ideas into clear specs, tasks, and prompts that coding agents like Cursor and Claude can actually build the right way. Ship real software, not fragile prototypes. Start free at braingrid.ai. Hello, listeners. Today we are dropping another episode in our Chats series, specifically on the founder side, hearing from those scaling the companies themselves. In this episode, we are talking with Vadim Dedov, CEO at Catchers. Vadim is going to walk us through what problem he wanted to solve with Catchers, and how his product development journey took him through architectural decisions, product optimization, team building, and more. Vadim, thank you for being on the show today. Thanks for being on Code Story.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Excited to have you. Really excited to dive into all the things we're going to jump in today around Catchers and the problem you're trying to solve and how you went about it and the whole journey there. Before we talk about Catchers, I'd love to understand you a little bit better. For me and my audience, what experiences or responsibilities earlier in your life shaped how you think about work, systems, and accountability today?
The first thing what I want to say that maybe you need about my family shaped me a lot. I lost my father early, so from a young age, I felt responsible for my mom and my sister. That creates a creation mindset. You don't wait for someone else to fix things, step in. I also always knew I wanted to build things with people. I enjoy bringing a team together, organizing creation, something from scratch. As a teenager, I read a lot about young founders in the US. There wasn't one role model. It was more collective image. I picked ideas, approach, way of thinking from different people. Some ideas were naive, some unrealistic, but they pushed me toward entrepreneurship. Eventually, that led me and my two partners to start an HR agency, and it was my first business.
I love that you led into the entrepreneurship. Let's move into Catchers a bit then. So what problem were you dealing with before Catchers existed? Not as a product idea yet, but as a real operational pain that you yourself kept running into.
When we started in the early days, we had no tech. Excel was our operation system for everything. It worked until it didn't. As we grew, clients increased and the number of workers went into the 1,000. Every client had a different requirement. You had to match people to shift, remember details, track attendance, manage a lot of documents. And the paperwork was massive, contracts, compliance, workday, etc. And the new team members couldn't even navigate the spreadsheet properly. This wasn't a product idea yet. It was just a daily operation pain. Yeah, and maybe it is after this I decided to change something.
Oh, I'd imagine so. Yeah, you were ready to go make that better. So maybe elaborate on that and what you just said. At what point did you realize that this couldn't be solved with the spreadsheets that worked until they didn't, the people or manual coordination anymore, and that technology was the only way forward? Kind of elaborate on that point.
Yeah, and I decided to change something, and I look for existing CRM or for workforce tools, but each system solves only one piece of the problem. I don't know, sales, operation, or documents. We would have needed 3 or 4 platforms stitched together. That when I decided to build our system, initially it was just for internal use. We wanted to do it is just for us.
That makes sense. Okay. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. Building with AI coding tools is exciting until the moment things start breaking. You ask for a small change and suddenly 3 other features stop working. AI gets confused, misses edge cases, and loses track of your intent. The problem is not code generation. The problem is planning. That is why BrainGrid exists. BrainGrid acts as your product management agent. It writes clear specification, maps UX flows, asks the clarifying questions you forgot to ask, and breaks big ideas into engineering-grade tasks that AI coding tools can build reliably. It guides Cursor, Claude Code, Replit, Windsurf, and others so they deliver features that work and keep working. Founders use BrainGrid to build real AI-native SaaS products without a technical background. If you want reliable features instead of fragile prototypes, try BrainGrid for free at braingrid.ai. That's braingrid.ai. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, when I was building my own tech startup, I went on the hunt for that elusive .com. Looked high, looked low, and guess what I found? Nothing. What I did find cost me an arm and a leg. So I did what every founder does under pressure. Threw in extra letters, settled for the less than optimal name. And here's what I wish someone had said to me back then. Noah, you're building a tech startup. Just get a .tech domain. Tech startup, .tech domain. It could not be more obvious. It tells investors, customers, and anyone who looks at your website, really, that tech is at the core of your build. And I've kicked myself plenty since, especially when I see the clean and sharp names tech companies have landed on .tech. Nothing.tech, 1x.tech, Aurora.tech, CES.tech, Ultra.tech, Alice.tech, Neon.tech, Blaze.tech, Pi.tech. You get the idea. So take it from someone who learned it the hard way. If you're building a tech startup, don't overthink it. Secure your .tech domain today from any registrar of your choice. So then you're building it just for you. When did it actually start taking shape as a product? And what was the very first version you built for your business? And I think, what did good enough mean in a business where mistakes affect people's income and compliance there? There's a lot of questions there, but I think they all fit together nicely.
After improving internal operation, another issue surfaced: the rapidly growing amount of paperwork. Thousands of contacts and documents from and to temps were circulating daily, and they were signed late, sent by mail, lost, etc. That when the idea of a mobile app appeared, at first it was purely internal. We didn't even plan to publish it publicly. But during the development, new ideas kept emerging. What if workers could choose a shift themselves? Or what if a job were visible on a map? What if onboarding took minutes instead of days? And step by step, the internal tools started turning into a real product.
That's really cool. Okay, how long did it take to get something usable, to get to something usable? And what sort of constraints defined your minimum viable product, your MVP?
It took about 8 months to build the first usable version. Integration was the hardest part for us. Our accounting system didn't really have full APIs back then, so we had to build a lot of workarounds. There was also legal and certainly digital context signed SMS code weren't a common practice. There was no court precedent, and nothing restricts it explicitly, but there were no clear rules either. We received some legal advice and eventually made a call, move forward and take this risk. That's how our MVP was born.
That's good stuff. Okay, let's look back then on that MVP and when it was born. What sort of trade-offs did you have to make? And which ones were the most important to make early on? Things you consciously postponed or simplified, tech debt you may have accepted, but knowing that they might come back later.
I wanted to build everything at once in the beginning. New ideas were coming daily, but we decided to focus on their core businesses. Documents flow and compliance, postponing additional features, marketplace of task, job mapping, etc. First thing, saving resource for the crucial business process.
Excellent. Okay, let's zoom in on the product itself. What is the core product insight behind Catchers? The thing you believe differentiates it from a typical HR or staffing platform?
Catchers was designed around the worker, not the HR department. A worker can pick shift for a few hours or several weeks, apply whenever they are available, and upload the document in minutes, pass automate check, start working almost immediately. Payments are fast, not weekly, not monthly, daily. If the work is already verified, the time from application to shift can literally be minutes. Just response and go.
So then how did your thinking about architecture evolve as scale increased for Catchers? Was there a moment when you had to stop moving fast and redesign parts of the system properly? And I really enjoy these parts of stories and the journey that people go through in building technology, because it's always fascinating and there's always a point where someone has to go back and re-architect. I'm curious about what you have to say.
As we scaled, the system became heavier and more complex. Too many features not intuitive enough. We deliberately slowed down and focused on architecture, reward part of the code base, redesigned UX, UI, made the system clearer for new managers, improved the mobile experience. This took about a year. We've still been growing. Our focus shift to stability.
Very good. Okay. This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. Your coding agents have access to your code base. Maybe you even connected other tools via MCPs. But access doesn't mean context. Agents can't reason across MCPs. They don't know your architectural decisions, your team's patterns, or why the API was shaped the way it is. So agents look in the wrong place and deliver bad outputs. Then you spend time correcting. More loops, more tokens. Unblocked is the context layer your agents are missing. It synthesizes your PRs, docs, Slack, and tickets into organizational context that agents actually understand. So they make better plans, write higher quality code, use fewer tokens, and require fewer correction loops. If you're running Claude Code, Cursor, or any agentic workflow, Unblocked is worth a look. Learn more at getunblocked.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If you're responsible for reliability, performance, or platform architecture, you already know the problem. Telemetry volume is growing faster than teams can manage it. Mesmo addresses this by moving observability upstream. Instead of storing everything and asking questions later, Mesmo processes telemetry in motion, filtering, transforming, and enriching logs, metrics, and traces before they reach your observability backend. The result is cleaner data, reduced ingestion costs, and faster root cause analysis using the tools you already rely on. Mesmo integrates with platforms like Dedov, Dynatrace, and open source stacks, giving teams more control without adding operational overhead. This is especially useful for platform engineers and SREs supporting complex distributed systems where context and speed matter. To see how active telemetry works in practice, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. So, How did you approach building your core team around such a complex, operations-heavy product? The right people have to be in place to build the right product. What qualities mattered most in these people that you trusted with the system?
Yeah, it's not only experience and the CV mattered for me, but the capacity of a candidate to think globally, to approach a complicated task creatively, to adapt quickly. As there were no people on the market who had built something exactly like this before. So I looked for those who could decomposite complex tasks and perform on the step-by-step basis, who was ready to embrace responsibility and risk, and most important, shared my view of values and confidence and the future success. The budget was limited, the team was small, people worked incredibly hard, not because they were told to, but because they were generally excited. I'm proud that many of them are still on their board today.
Oh, that's excellent. That's something to be proud of there. Can you share maybe a decision that didn't go as planned, something that you set out to do and maybe it didn't go like you wanted it to, and how you and your team dealt with the consequences?
One of the biggest setbacks was our check-in, check-out system. We had to develop a sophisticated innovation system of automatic recognition to verify the worker's ID, to track attendance automatically. No more paper sheet that take a couple of days, sometimes a week, to confirm with the clients, to calculate working hours and make payment instantly. The initial idea is based on biometrics solution. It was mainstream, so called the Face ID system. Candidates scanned their face while checking in and out, and then, boom, here are their hours, here are your money, have a nice evening. Clients loved the idea. We were close to launch. A new biometric data regulation come out. All approach became too risk, complex, and expensive to maintain. We had to pivot, and nowadays we use dynamic QR codes instead of Face ID. At the end of the day, it is much simpler, much faster to install.
Very cool. Okay. So when you step back and you look at all that you've built today, what are you most proud of? And maybe not in terms of features, but like reliability, impact, or how the system holds under pressure. Tell me about that.
I am generally proud of our security system. We every day process a huge amount of data, candidates' personal information, their documents, tasks, working hour, etc. A lot of things. And the system stays under pressure constantly, and it holds it stays stable and strong due to incredibly work of their whole team.
Very good. Okay. Last question. As you look ahead, how does automation and AI change the way you think about workforce platforms? And what advice do you give someone building infrastructure-heavy products today?
Yeah, automation is net positive. It removes repetitive work and lets people focus on high-value tasks. We actively use AI to streamline operation, reduce costs, speed up workflows. And my advice for anyone building infrastructure-heavy products, start with the structure and fundamentals, clear architecture, clear priorities, clear core, and the common mistake is trying to build everything at once. That's when the system breaks, logic collapses, and the problems multiple. Build the backbones first, then scale.
I think that's fantastic advice. And thank you for being on the show today and telling the journey of Catchers. I can tell you've gone through the ups and downs, the early days, the MVP, how you solved problems, decided what kind of product you wanted to build, and how to approach this type of industry. And you can tell that your experience there has been fundamental in helping those understand as they walk through this journey themselves. So I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
There you have it. Vadim has done a fantastic job walking us through the journey and arc of catchers, illustrating critical decision points, architecture, scaling, and how the platform is moving forward today. If you'd like to connect with Vadim, check the show notes for all the appropriate links. And thanks again for listening.
You waited for your tax refund, now make it worth it. At Mattress Warehouse, save up to $850 during our tax refund sale. Plus, get a free adjustable base with select purchases. And sleep easy knowing your mattress is backed by our exclusive lifetime price guarantee. With 0% interest and free next day delivery, why shop anywhere else? Make your refund go farther at Mattress Warehouse. Visit mattresswarehouse.com today.
This episode is brought to you by CarMax. Want to buy a car the easy way? Start at CarMax. Want to browse with confidence? Get pre-qualified with no impact on your credit score and shop within your budget. From luxury to family rides, CarMax has options for almost every price range, including over 25,000 cars under $25,000. Want to get started? Head to CarMax.com for details and get pre-qualified today. Want to drive? CarMax.